Despite Quant still being below $80 and actually having an almost 2% decrease in the past 24 hours, there's actually something else that I think Quant could very well revolutionize the market of. What do I mean by that? Even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and even though I'll discuss the price later, did you know that Quant recently made a post regarding treasury management? Which I get it. Some people like to say, that's so silly. Who cares about that? Especially at a time like right now. But we have to take a look at why this could matter. Because just so I don't get it mixed up, right? From what I can see, basically, if we take a look at treasury management, or should I say corporate treasury, it kind of refers to the department, processes, and tools a company would use to manage things like its cash, liquidity, assets, and risks, for instance. So again, being focused on treasuries, I think it is something that is pretty cool and pretty interesting in this case. And this kind of opens the door, and I think kind of opens up the mindset of maybe some enterprises out there or some individuals out there in terms of what Quant could be used for. Because in my previous video, I talked about Quant and its possibilities in terms of the use case in regard to hospitality, but this one, in regard to maybe treasury management, it could have that too. Now, people like to say, this sounds so silly. Why would Quant constantly remind people about random use cases no one cares about? Well, I think it goes far beyond that. It's like, for instance, do you remember Scrub Daddy? Or do you know about Scrub Daddy, I should say? It's like a sponge, but then it's like circular. There's a smiley face. It even appeared on the show Shark Tank. But besides that, it's like the founder. Every time I hear him speak in an interview, he's always talking about, oh, you can put a spoon here, or you can put a fork here, or whatever, like through the mouth of the Scrub Daddy sponge or whatever. Now, again, it's a sponge. People may think it's so silly. Like, why is he constantly telling people different ways to use it? Well, it's because not every single person out there may think about all the ideas on how to use that sponge and that configuration, if that kind of makes sense. So when I kind of flip that back to Quant, I know it may sound silly that Quant is reminding people about its use case when it comes to treasury management, maybe, or let's say in the case of hospitality, but it's kind of just highlighting what it could be used for. So if, let's say, someone looked at Quant and didn't really think about this, and maybe they're like, oh, wow, it could actually be used for that. Again, it just kind of gives more ideas to hypothetical and maybe potential partners out there. Who knows? That's the thing. So it's not a bad thing in my opinion, and especially as of right now when the market is not only just boring, but it's doing bad, sometimes at a time like this, some individuals out there are actually taking this time to actually take a look at and research more about a project. So when people like to say, oh, why doesn't Quant just wait until the market picks up later before they post stuff like this? Well, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? They should do it right now so people actually have time to kind of compartmentalize it basically and kind of study it and actually understand what it's all about. That's the thing. Once a project is relabeled as like a project that can't really diversify in a sense where it's viewed as a one-trick pony, sometimes that's game, set, match for the project because it's going to really limit its future potential partners. So when I take a look at Quant right here, it's allowing for, I think, this perception that it's not a one-trick pony. It's actually something that has diversified and multiple use cases. That's the thing. People like to say, but how though? Well, again, I've mentioned this so many times, but every time I don't mention it, everyone calls me out on it. So, I'll mention it. But if we take a look at the Quant network, it's made up of two things. It's the Overledger OS and the Overledger network. But I'm going to skip the Overledger network. I've explained it so many times. It's basically made up of the Overledger OS users, so let's skip that part. If we take a look at the Overledger OS, long story short, I mentioned this so many times, but again, it's basically something that could allow for a multi-chain application to be built. Now, as the name goes, right, multi-chain application, so multiple chains. So it's an application that can be built on top of multiple blockchains instead of just one. And the unique thing about this is that it doesn't limit a certain individual or developer or an enterprise in terms of being stuck with one blockchain, because there's nothing worse, right, than just being stuck with one blockchain and then it has all these disadvantages and there's kind of no way to escape it sometimes. It just kind of sucks. So then, of course, when we take a look at the Overledger OS, allowing the flexibility and the option for a developer to not only just build on one blockchain, but multiple blockchains, that's a game changer right there. That's going to allow for, I think, an application that could have better capabilities as opposed to just being stuck on one place. That's the thing. The Overledger OS, it doesn't allow for someone to just be stuck like that. What it does is that it gives the flexibility, which I think is a net positive at the end of the day. Now, people like to say, yeah, but the adoption is like so bad though when it comes to that. I mean, it's all relative, but I get where some people may be coming from. But I don't mind because great things typically, in some hypothetical cases, take time and patience. Not in every single case, but from some of the cases that I do see. So when it comes to, let's say, in the case of the Overledger OS, people like to say, wow, it's so lame. But we have to consider it could take time because so many people are probably used to just building on one place. Shifting that idea and kind of moving towards the Overledger OS, it could take time. But you know what? Quant has nothing but time. What are they in a hurry for? You know what I mean? Are they trying to catch the airplane? Are they trying to catch the train? It's not like that. I mean, they have nothing but time, in my opinion. Gilbert Verdian, the founder of Quant, he's still doing his thing. Quant allegedly pioneered, at least according to a post they made not too long ago. Again, they allegedly pioneered blockchain interoperability. So let's just let that sink in. Now, what is interoperability, right? Again, if we take a look at Polkadot, for instance, a project that's really focused on that, its goal is to connect blockchains together. It's focused on interoperability, which does matter, in my opinion, because we want things to be interoperable, right? Lacking interoperability is a big issue if we think about it, because there are so many blockchains out there, so many networks, but because a lot of them are independent of each other, they can't freely interact with each other in a lot of cases, which makes it, if that is the case, it is lacking interoperability. So again, interoperability does matter, and Quant allegedly pioneering blockchain interoperability is pretty impressive. So yeah, sure, Quant is still below $80, but to me, I have zero complaints because you know what? If I can dollar cost average more into a project that I'm a fan of, why would I complain about that? I don't mind low prices actually. Not forever, of course, but for just dollar cost averaging, I don't mind. Even though, again, this is just personally my perspective. I'm not telling anyone to anything. And the thing is this, even though Bitcoin has had a pullback, it just wouldn't be a 2x if it went back to its all-time high. It just simply wouldn't. It's not that low yet. Maybe. We'll wait and see. Not that I would want it to be that low, but I'm saying it just isn't 2 times lower than its all-time high. But guess what? We're around $70, right? So we're around 2 times lower than where Quant was back in December 2024, which I get it. Again, it seems so lame. They're like, oh, around a 2x, that's so boring. Some people like to tell me that. But if someone actually made that type of movement through silver, gold, platinum, or let's say Bitcoin or Ethereum, I know personally a lot of people out there that would rejoice at that type of movement. But suddenly when it comes to Quant, that type of movement is considered so bearish for whatever reason. But then suddenly when it comes to other places, it's not. So yeah, I just don't get it. To me, if I just want to throw out a random example, like a 300% movement at the end of the day is a 300% movement. Like it almost doesn't really matter where I see it on, right? If that kind of makes sense. It's like, for instance, if I like my cheeseburger at a certain place and I go to a different place and the cheeseburger tastes basically exactly the same, I would like it either way. It's not like it's suddenly boring in one case and good in the other, or good with the other, I should say. It doesn't really work that way, in my opinion, personally for me. But yeah, besides that, this is just some food for thought, at least personally for me. I'm not telling anyone to anything. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. So hopefully, y'all stay tuned for that. It's Mali the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.